Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm Rich Formidoni here with Mike Martin from Casio, and today we're here to talk about and show you the new Privia PX-S7000, 6000, and 5000 digital pianos. In the last 2 weeks since we unveiled these pianos, they've created quite a buzz. We've heard a lot of great questions. So today we're here to answer some of those questions, show you some stuff you probably didn't know about them, and we've got some great guest stars joining us today. So stay tuned for some live interviews and some debut performances from some really, really talented musicians. So, Mike, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. Obviously, really excited about these products we're going to show you today. The PX-S7000, the PX-S6000, and the PX-S5000. Now, some of the things we're trying to show you today are difficult to convey over a video, but we just heard that the PX-S7000 just started shipping, so they'll be at retail stores very, very soon.
Yes, that's right. So by all means, go to your nearest Privia dealer and check them out because there's no better way to experience them than to get your hands on the instrument. And with that said, we want to tell you why that's so important. There are so many different ways to look at these new Privias, especially the PX-S7000, which you can kind of see behind both of us here in the harmonious mustard color. You can look at it from the standpoint of a concert pianist, from somebody who just loves playing at home, from an interior designer who creates homes. There are lots of aspects of this piano that sort of transcend the traditional limitations of a digital piano. But we should start by looking at the features of these new instruments that are essential core elements for a pianist, and that is the sound and the feel.
That's right. And the real magic is what's happening with this new keyboard action. It's absolutely incredible. You know, from the key tops, the spruce sides, the weighting under the keys, this is the best feeling Privia we've ever made. In fact, the best keyboard action Casio's ever made outside of our Grand Hybrid.
Yeah, it's really, really remarkable. You mentioned the spruce sides. That's a great feature. These are not just stickers that look like wood. When you look at the side of a key, you're seeing a really substantial chunk of spruce, which is really dense. And not only does it complete the look of a piano key, but it also adds rigidity and stability to the key as well. There's also damping material, so if you play with the volume down, you'll be amazed at how quiet these keys are. And that's really cool because the keys still feel really solid and precise. So the bottom of the key throw is very, very solid. But Mike, I think both of our favorite parts about the new keys is the counterweight system. Yeah. This is what makes these keys feel so balanced and dynamic. When you play soft, it feels soft. When you play hard, you better mean it. So these keys really invite you to play, and they make it feel like you're playing an instrument that's much larger than these Privias actually are.
And the great thing is, this smart hybrid hammer action keyboard is available on all three models, the PX-S7000, the PX-S6000, as well as the PX-S5000. But now we're going to dive into the PX-S7000 itself. Rich, why don't you tell us about some of the unique capabilities of this instrument?
Definitely. The PX-S7000 has 400 sounds in total, and there are not one, but 3 legendary grand pianos built in. So let's take a look. So here's a top-down view of the PX-S7000 in the harmonious mustard finish. You can also get it in white or black. And Mike, as we were saying, there are 3 legendary pianos built into this one instrument, and the first of which is our Hamburg Grand. It's a beautiful, very versatile sound, and I'm sure it's tough to hear over a stream, but there's all kinds of resonance happening. There's open string resonance, aliquot resonance. Those two only existed in the Grand Hybrid pianos before the PX-S7000 inherited them. There's also damper resonance, string resonance, so the piano really breathes as you play. Now we can go through some variations here. There's a bright version and a mellow version. And then we can get to our next instrument, which is the New York Grand. So a totally different piano with a different personality. More variations of that, and then we get to the Berlin Grand. So 3 legendary pianos just to start. There are 400 instruments in total in the PX-S7000, including some really awesome electric pianos and some best hit sounds that give you sounds that are designed to play famous songs.
That's right, Rich. And the best hit piano and electric piano tones on the PX-S7000 provide you those sounds for iconic songs. There's a bunch to choose from. I'm going to show you some of my favorites, starting with the very first one. You can imagine what song is intended for this particular tone. And then continuing through that category, clock piano. So many great best hit piano tones. We'll do one more, and then we're going to move on to electric piano tones. 1000 piano, you might recognize this one. So getting to the electric piano tones is very easy. There's a dedicated button for it over here on the right-hand side. Just press that, and we're taken immediately to our first classic. It's just a great one. Herbifly EP. So much fun. Just the way. The effects are just dialed in perfectly on each of those. Same like Storm Rider. You've got just the perfect amount of tremolo and distortion. And although there's many, many more favorites in here, I can't forget there's a great reed piano in here. Just so much fun. I'm going to show you one more thing on navigation before we move on. Of course, you can scroll using the touch wheel here on the front panel. You can sort of plus and minus by touching the ring here on the left and right. There's also category search here on the PX-S7000. Press the Enter button, and you're brought to a menu where you can select your pianos, your best hit pianos, those classic electric pianos, and all the various categories of sounds on the PX-S7000. Very, very easy to find with that category search. Rich, what's next?
Okay, so next we thought we'd show you a little bit more about how we're getting around on the Privia PX-S7000. One of the first things you might notice is this beautiful blue LED touch ring. So you can touch and scroll left and right. You can see the light follows you there. Very cool. It also works as an up, down, left, and right directional pad. So you can just touch to get where you need to go, and you can go up and down to choose what you're selecting. To the left of that, there's an exit button and an enter button, which Mike just showed you. That's how you get to the category search for sounds. And over on the right, you've got convenient shortcuts for piano, electric piano, and others, which is basically everything else. And that starts you off with a nice clav. really great sound that I'm particularly fond of. Over here on the left, there are some recording controls. You've got a play stop button, a record button that lights up red, and you've got a function button, which lets you get to basically everywhere else in the instrument. Below that are 4 F buttons, F1 through 4. And as you can see on the display here, those are labeled right here. These buttons are the secret to what makes the interface of the PX-S7000 so intuitive. You can actually choose what these buttons do very quickly. So if you're selecting sounds, just press down once, and now you're selecting what the buttons do. The first thing you'll find they do is convenient stuff for piano, like turning on a metronome, splitting, or creating a layer. And of course, a split at the same time if you want. So you can touch to turn them off. And we go to the next row. You've got registration settings. So here's where you can control the sounds that you're saving, sounds and settings that you're saving to these 4 buttons as registrations. And the next row is where you call them up. And then you've got things like listening. You can control the sound mode for surround sound, the piano position setting. This is great because you can choose if you want the piano to be placed against a wall or in the center of a room, on a table, or a standard, which is placed on its stand. So these function buttons are very cool. And the other nice thing about them is that you can customize them to do anything you want. So as we go past some of the preset rows, there are a bunch of user rows. So let's say you need a quick transpose or an octave shift for the way that you play. You can have that set up on your favorite row of buttons to get to quickly and easily. So now let me just switch my view here, and I want to show you something else. This is the Casio Music Space app. And what I'm going to do now is select Send from Piano to App. So right now it's connecting via the included WU-BT10 Bluetooth audio and MIDI adapter, so we can go a bit deeper into editing the tones of the PX-S7000. So here are all the options I have. Tone, tone modify, keyboard and sound source. Let's touch that real quick. This is where I can adjust settings for touch responsiveness. I can turn duet mode on and off. Many of these are things you can also do in the instrument itself, by the way, in the function menu, or you can set them to the F buttons, as we were just talking about. I want to show you something cool in tone modify. So what I'm going to do here is select a tone from the categories. I'm going to go to synth pad. Okay, so now I've got a synth pad selected. I'm going to touch this gear over to the right. And now I've got deeper controls to edit the sounds. Lower the cutoff, or raise it, lower the attack time, raise the release time a little bit. So the app lets you do a lot more than you can just from the front panel of the instrument itself. Again, things like duet mode, adjusting touch response, all that kind of good stuff, you can still get to via the interface on the keyboard itself. So if I push function, sound mixer, keyboard, for example, I'm going to press enter. Here's transpose, keyboard settings, all that good stuff. So all of that is just a couple of buttons away, and the interface here is really, really beautifully laid out. And Mike, what do you think about it? Anything to add?
Perfectly said, Rich. I mean, this is an absolutely amazing instrument, as I think everybody here in the chat is discovering. So just want to remind everybody we're watching the chat. If you have any specific questions, we'll be glad to try and address them throughout the broadcast. Yeah, my favorite thing of what you showed in the broadcast so far, Rich, is those function buttons, because you can customize them to do whatever you need, whether it's transpose. If you need to get to transpose quickly, you can make that one button press away. Other things like reverb effects, the song recorder, you name it. Other thing I'd like to mention real quick about the recording capabilities that you mentioned earlier is the PX-S7000 can record both MIDI as well as audio. And the audio recording will actually happen inside the instrument. You don't need to stop and connect a flash drive or anything like that. You can just without connecting a USB drive, you can record and capture that moment of inspiration without any other technology or anything else getting in the way. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, super immediate, very easy way to capture your creativity.
All right, so we have some very, very special guests today, and quite a few of them, in fact. And the first among which is an actor, a singer, a songwriter, and author, Alicia Witt. You may already know her from her many TV and film appearances, and today we need to make sure that you know that she is an incredible musician as well. In fact, she was a piano prodigy as a child, and her talents only grew out from there. Today, she is not only a star on the screen, but also in the studio. She's a classical virtuoso and a brilliant singer and songwriter, which is a very rare combination. And Alicia has been performing with Privia pianos for the past few years. And when these new Privias were on the way, we knew we had to get one to hear her play it. So here's Alicia playing and describing her experiences with the Privia PX-S7000.
I'm Alicia Witt. I'm an actor, singer-songwriter, play the piano. I wrote my first book last year. I've been playing piano since I was 7. I started out studying classical, competed for many years. I played piano professionally for a couple of years as a teenager when I was living in LA to support myself. Playing piano and the feel of a keyboard is very much like a second language for me. I just want to talk to you, to hear all your stories, the glories and shame. I just want to talk to you. As a proficient piano player, the kind of keyboard that I use is very important to me, because when a grand piano isn't available and I have to play a keyboard out of necessity, I want it to feel as similar to a live piano as possible. So the Casio has filled that need for me in a way that no other keyboard ever has. When I first saw this brand new Privia, I kind of couldn't believe my eyes. I've never seen anything quite like this new Privia. If anything, it just exceeds the quality of the previous models. It feels so much like a live piano. The sound on it is extraordinary. As a testament to how much I love it, even though I do have a grand, I find myself playing this more often because it's just so exciting. 'Cause I just want to talk to you, to hear all your stories. What's so cool about this instrument is you can adjust it, so you can make it sound like your very favorite kind of grand piano. If you're wanting that brighter pop sound, it's right here at your fingertips. You can, it's like crafting your very own grand piano. I think this instrument is unique among any keyboard I've ever tried, in that it isn't just one great sound, it's all the great sounds exactly the way you want them to be. I think that if you haven't played this keyboard, you would be really surprised, especially if you are a seasoned piano player and you feel that nothing could come close. I think this one is going to really surprise you with how much variety there is and how pleasing it is, both as an experience you would have as a performer and also for your listeners. I think this is pretty close to unparalleled in terms of replicating that piano feel and sound. The other fun thing, obviously, is the mustard color. And I own a lot of things that will match it, not to mention my hair. I mean, it's all perfect. I am very much in love with this keyboard. Very excited about it. everything that brought you right here to me.
Welcome to the show, Alicia Witt, joining us live from Nashville. How are you today, Alicia?
I'm great, Mike. It's so good to see both of you. Hey, Rich.
Hey, Alicia. Nice to see you too. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us here today. It's awesome to have you.
It's my pleasure.
So we are so thrilled with the video that we just saw. Your playing is phenomenal as always, and you warmed our hearts by saying such wonderful stuff about the PX-S7000. We're really happy you're enjoying it. You've been playing Privia PX-S pianos for years now. Is there any one thing about the new 7000 that you think is the biggest upgrade for you?
There are so many upgrades, honestly, so many. And the one that immediately springs to mind is just the simple fact of how this instrument is situated on the platform that is as sturdy as a real piano. Because a lot of my songs have a great deal of energy behind them, and I've had it happen in shows with any keyboard where I'll go to play something really fast or really powerfully, and the keyboard kind of slides a little bit on the stand, and other piano players I've talked to experience the same thing. And what's so standout about the way this is all engineered, including the pedal throne, is that it doesn't move. It is a piece of furniture, and I think that lends itself, plus the touch of this and the sound, of course, all of it just serves to help me forget that it's an electronic instrument. And if anything, there's an inspiration in playing this and knowing that I can switch voicings very quickly when I'm composing something. It helps me to think of arrangements and voicings that, as a classical pianist, I might not readily come up with on my piano, because I've been playing that piano since I was a little kid for the most part, It's good to have something new. And I also obviously love the color. I know that's the most trivial of upgrades, but it sure is fun. I think adding to the fun of it is the fact that when you see a keyboard that looks like this, you won't immediately believe that it is also the most lifelike piano sound and feel of anything you've ever played, because it kind of looks like a cool vintage electric keyboard.
Right.
And make all those cool sounds with the alternate voicings on it, which I'm loving. But the grand piano feel is really where this instrument blows your mind.
Yeah.
Love it.
You mentioned the voicings and the sounds. So there are three main pianos in there: the Hamburg, the Berlin, and the New York. Do you have a favorite for specific vibes when you're playing?
I do really love the bright New York. That's kind of my go-to. But I'm still getting to know all of the different speeds on it, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And I haven't found one yet that I really don't vibe with. But I would say if I had to pick just one for an entire show, I would probably choose the bright New York, personally.
Yeah.
But
it's fun.
All of them.
It's funny you mentioned that, because Mike and I have been talking a lot about that New York Grand over the last couple of days. We've both really come to enjoy it as well.
Really love that sound. So, Alicia, you are an incredibly skilled pianist, And when we filmed that other video a couple weeks ago, you gave me an amazing show of skill. Actually using a couple of the different piano tones. You played some Debussy with the Berlin, which is wonderful. I've got a short clip of that I would like to show real quick. Wow, Alicia, you play so beautifully. Thank you so much. Absolutely mind-blowing to me, and I can't believe I was there firsthand to witness that. Incredible.
Jealous.
It feels like it's something that I've been doing since I was so small that it is the closest thing I have to a second language. And other musicians often remark on the fact that I often don't look at the keys as I'm playing. And that's just because I feel they're doing their own communicating while I'm communicating in words up here. That's its own thing. I am studying Italian though, so hopefully soon I will have 3 languages under my belt. English, piano, and Italian.
Fantastic.
That's like a dad joke, isn't it?
No, not at all.
No, not that.
The musicians
Not to
version
piano
of that.
players.
Alicia, what's up next for you musically? Are you writing? Is there a new album in the works? Because we're really enjoying The Conduit. We love that album. Can you tell us what's coming up next?
I am figuring that out at the moment. It's been a very strange year, full of incredible. It's been a very strange year, full of incredible highs, like the release of The Conduit and the tour that accompanied it last October, and then some other unexpected events that have happened. And now I am finding incredible solace and catharsis in sitting down at the piano every day and noodling on a little something. There's definitely new songs coming in, and lots of them. And I have also this collection of songs I've written over the years that never got recorded, many of which I don't think I ever played live at a show. They just sort of sat in the vault, the proverbial vault. And while I was going through all of this past year, it's occurred to me a number of times that if I wasn't feeling the call to write new songs, it would be really special to create an album made solely of songs from years gone by that I didn't feel were quite ready to record.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some that, if anything, feel more resonant to my life now than they did to my life at the time that I wrote them. So I might very likely do an album perhaps called Time, about that. Some of the themes I've been thinking a lot about lately. But yeah, there's new songs as well, and I've just started up again with co-writing. I know so many extraordinarily gifted singer-songwriters here in Nashville, and I've put that on pause just a little bit, and now I'm loving starting to get rights on the books again, and writing songs not only for me to possibly record, but for them to record and possibly someone else. There's no greater thrill to me than writing a song and hearing another artist put their heart and soul into it. And that's something I want to put a lot more focus on.
That's
Well,
fantastic.
you're in such a good place to do it. As you said, Nashville has so many talented human beings, you being one of the chiefs among them. So I'm sure you will have no problem finding some folks who want to breathe new life into your music.
Nashville is a haven for music, goes without saying, but it's also, I was just telling a friend who I had coffee with that it feels like home in a way that I'm certain no other place ever has to me. And that is because of the people who live here. I'm asked on an almost daily basis if I moved here because of my music. And the truth is I didn't. I first started coming to Nashville because of my music, but I moved here for love of the city and the people who live here, and even new people that I'm meeting. It's really extraordinary to me that as quickly as this town is growing and as much as it's changed, at its core, it is just stunningly filled with human beings to make connections with. And that's what, to me, that inspires the music even more than the musicianship.
Well, that's wonderful. That's, I mean, great place to be. And you told me when I visited that the PX-S7000 is sort of now the new collaboration spot in your house.
It is. Yeah, I have a set of chairs right across from this, and the chairs are actually ideally placed so that they were placed for playing the piano, which is opposite me. But now I have this, and this feels better because it's so open. It's a little weird writing at the grand piano because I'm facing away from whoever I'm writing with. And this you're open. I love the music stand that's see-through, so I can prop up my notepad or my iPad, whatever I'm writing lyrics on, and I don't feel like I'm turning my back to my co-writer. Just really open. And the other amazing thing, of course, is so far, since I've gotten the Privia, I've only written with guitar players, but whenever I've had a piano player who wants to co-write, that's also a strange thing because then we both have our backs to each other if I bring up a keyboard. But now this is part of a living room setup, and I've got the potentiality to have two piano players in here. And that'll be exciting.
That's so fun.
Awesome. Very cool.
So Alicia, we've taken so much of your time. My goodness, you're so generous. We loved visiting with you today. I'm going to end with a song. We've got one more clip from a couple weeks ago that I'm going to share with everybody. But thank you so much for your time. And everybody go follow at Alicia Witt on Instagram. Go to aliciawittmusic.com. Check out Alicia's music. It's so wonderful. Thank you for sharing it with us here today.
Thank you so much. I am honored to help spread the word about this incredible Privia. and I'm just beginning to fall in love with it. I'm going to love it more with every passing day. I know that.
All right. Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you.
I'm finally onto it. You are the conduit, and all that time I spent too hung up on you to see straight. You stayed and waited. Oh, is this the ending? You didn't want to give away. You're not the stars or the sky or my constellation. You're not the one for all time or my destination. You're not the love of my life. You're the love that set me free. I am finally onto it. You are the conduit. Oh God, I get it now. The pieces fall dreamless to dust. This moment I know you'd laugh at me so hard. What was I thinking?
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Wow.
She's
Yep.
just, you know, so amazing. And to experience her playing in person, not only that piece, but those classical pieces, just absolutely mind blowing. So, what an incredible pianist. And we're so happy to have her as part of the Casio family.
Yes, definitely. What a joy. So we are looking at the questions here. We see some really good ones. For example, what is the polyphony? The PX-S7000 and 6000 and 5000?
I think
7000
so.
and 6000 have 256 notes of polyphony. The 5000 has 192.
I believe that's correct.
And yes, thank you. Also, we see a question about does the MIDI have an audio? Sorry, does the USB port have an audio interface? The USB port is MIDI only, and the big advantage of the way we do our USB MIDI is that it is class compliant, which means you don't have to use any drivers. There's no software to install. It just works no matter what operating system or platform you're working on.
Yeah, another question someone's asking about how sturdy is the stand, and
Oh, man.
we can't say enough about this. Alicia talked about it a couple minutes ago about how solid this is, and you appreciate it even more when you unbox and assemble this stand and this instrument. It doesn't move. It is so solid. I can't even come up with the words for it, Rich.
Yeah, it felt like a couple of people could sit on it at the same time and it would be just fine. It's really, it gives the piano, this is one of the things that gives you the illusion that this instrument is so much bigger than it actually is. The keys are the other one, but that stand, it plants this instrument so solidly on the ground. It gives you perfect feedback while you're playing.
So there was another question. Did she sing through the Privia? Are her vocals going through the instrument? And that actually brings up a feature we haven't talked about yet. The PX-S7000 does have a mic input on the back with a dedicated effects section. So you can use that for a live performance. At the time, we were in a little bit of a hurry to record this material with Alicia. And we simply used a little clip-on microphone to record her vocal. So that was not the effects from the Privia, but the Privia does have a dedicated mic input with dedicated effects for that vocal section. So great question. Thank you.
Perfect.
All right.
Well,
Lots of questions coming through. We have a lot of artists coming up. My goodness. So
We do.
I'm going to bring in the next one. Today, we're lucky enough to have another star in our midst who's discovered the PX-S7000. Michael Whalen is one of the hardest working musicians we've ever met. He's a multiple Emmy award-winning composer who's created over 650 film and TV scores, literally thousands of musical spots for influential brands on the TV networks. He's created some of the most memorable theme songs you've ever heard, and he's also got one of the most enviable collection of synthesizers and keyboards we've ever seen, and we've seen a lot. So Michael's newest favorite instrument is the PX-S7000, and here's a video, in fact, an improvisation that Michael put together the day he got his PX-S7000, and we're going to talk to him right afterwards. Welcome, Michael Whalen, to the broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us here today, live from New York. What an absolutely beautiful piece you played for us on the PX-S7000. Absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you so much for having me. And this instrument has been just like, I don't know, like a revelation, like seriously.
So I had to ask, Michael, I mean, when's the last time you played a Casio instrument before this one?
Wow. I think I played like a CZ101 at a session in Nashville like 10 years ago.
All right. So my guess was correct. So this is your first experience on a Privia digital piano. I mean, so
100%.
I mean, we connected
100%.
on Facebook. We've been friends. We have, so many mutual friends, and I follow your career and your music. Absolutely love everything you do. But when I you kept commenting on every post about this new Privia, I said, here's somebody that needs to try this instrument. And so, I mean, it's only been a couple days. Can you give us your first impressions?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I am a snob. I'm a big keyboard snob. I mean, if you know anything about my career, you know that I have owned literally, not bragging, millions of dollars of gear, and I have played a lot of electric pianos and MIDI controllers, and for a long time I had a Synclavier. I had a Mark Tripp keyboard, which is like super high-end. Mark Tripp is a piano builder who actually built a keyboard for New England Digital. So I am incredibly spoiled when it comes to the way things are supposed to feel. So I got the Privia and I set it up and I sat down and played it, and I was dumbstruck. I mean, I think that the two things that knocked me out immediately was I love the panel. I love the design of the panel. I love how intuitive it is. It's not fussy. It's very, very clear. You know, like intuitively kind of where things are, which I really, really appreciate a lot. So it's a performance instrument. And then the feel of the keyboard is unbelievable, like where the fulcrum is, the weight of the action. It's not too springy. It doesn't have that like digital, like, you know, trying too hard thing. It has like a very organic feel to it. And so when I sat down and played it, I was amazed, because at first I was like, well, we'll see what happens. And like out of the gate, no, seriously, like, you know, laugh away. I mean, out of the gate, I was I'm playing it down. I was shocked. I mean, and I ended up playing on it for like 3 hours straight. I'm like, this is really cool. The other thing that also kind of blew me away, I mean, you've got the three sort of basic piano models, the Berlin, the New York, and the
Hamburg.
The Hamburg. Oh yeah. But the thing that really just like sealed the deal for me was all of the non-piano sounds. Like the electric piano, the Bob James thing, the taxi sound, unbelievable. It's like, because it has like this beautiful sort of warmness, and it's hollow, and it's like it has like this thing, and then there's like a Paul Simon, Crazy After All These Years, Richard T thing happening, and I was like, God, this is nice. Someone spent some time on this. So. So I'm gushing, but it's a very, very nice keyboard. Then I'm in a room here in New York that's 12 by 10. That's 12 feet by 10 feet. And, you know, my friends in California, like, that's a storage room for them. Like, no, and like, I do everything in this room. And so I don't have a lot of room for stuff. And so to have it be in a compact, not a big footprint thing, that's been awesome. That's been really, really good.
Wow.
I have no further questions.
Yeah. Okay, well, there you go. Well, it's nice talking. See you. Bye-bye.
No, I did have one question. One of the fascinating things about your career is that you've written music of such varying lengths. So some of it might be 5 seconds, some of it might be many minutes long. Do you think there are any specific aspects of the 7000 that would help in writing commercial music, writing something with a deadline, something, you know, super quick?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the first thing that I said about the design, the intuitiveness of it is important, because when I'm working on a commercial, and I mean, guys, I think I've done 3,000 in my career at this point. I mean, like, there are days where I do 2, 3, 4 commercials for different agencies, different music houses on the same day. So, and I've been doing it for 30 years, so you do the math. So, what I love about the Casio is that it's very intuitive. Like, everything is kind of up and working. I mean, I'm working on a little movie right now, and I actually did tracks on it today. It moves very quickly. And I think when you're composing, the last thing you want to do is wait for gear. You don't want to be sitting there, like, you know, going through sounds and whatever. I mean, any film composer, any TV composer will tell you the most important thing that they have is their template. So they put together in whatever, you know, DAW they're working in, what's the template? What are they doing? And so what I can see happening is that the Casio can become a sound source, because I have a piano in a lot of the things that I do, but also it can become a master controller. And you know, it also comes with wireless MIDI, which I think is badass. It's like, that's cool. I mean, and at first, you know, all of my little synth friends are like, oh, you've got to be doing, they're all British. Oh, you've got to be doing wireless MIDI. It's unbelievable. We love it. And I gotta say that this is like the first time I've really done wireless MIDI. It's like, yeah, this is cool. This works great. So basically, if you can have an instrument which is going to inspire you, which is going to be quick, it's not going to get in the way of you and your ideas and your deadlines, that's an instrument that's going to stay.
Wow. Michael, I've seen pictures of your room. Again, follow you on social. Are you using the built-in speakers, or you have it?
I am.
Okay.
I am, and it's also plugged into my. I have a external mixer that I run everything into. But the thing that I love about it is that it does have external speakers on it, and I don't even have to go over to the computer. Yeah. I just start playing. It's like, oh, hey, I can just come up with an idea, and it's just there. I mean, this idea that every time you have an idea, you've got to like put up the sound and do the thing, and then what's the level? I mean, after you do it a few thousand times, you're like, it loses its charm. So the idea that you can just sit down at this and play is fabulous. And then, at the appropriate time, if you want to, you turn off the speakers and go.
Love it. Absolutely amazing. Michael, I got to ask, you're working on music all the time. What's coming up next that you want to tell people about? You have a new album in the works?
Well, I have 5 new albums. So which one should we talk about? I actually, this has been a busy year. So I did 4 albums this year. And so the next album that's going to be released is a soundtrack album for a really beautiful documentary that I did called Exaltation. So that's going to come out early next year. I'm in the middle of doing a group project with me. Michael Manring is playing bass. Michael Brook is playing guitar. Michael is a very well-known film composer and has done a lot of things. A man named Karsh Kali from India, who's a percussionist and DJ and remix guy, is just so cool. And Jeff Oster, who's a trumpet player and a flugelhorn player. And we did a pass-around project. So I started 7 songs, and I sent it to Michael Brook, and then we sent it to Michael Manring, and then we sent it to Karsh, and now Jeff's doing trumpet on it. The record is one of the coolest things I've ever done in my career, bar none. The music is so cool because it's 5 composers basically deciding what not to put into these pieces. So it's not a shred fest. It's not a lot of notes. It's like a lot of it's very kind of ethereal and, but it is an absolute exercise in discipline and self-control. And so the music is beautiful. It's so, it's coming out so much better than I thought. And then next year I'm going to record a new jazz record, and I can tell you who the rhythm section is going to be. The rhythm section is going to be Simon Phillips, who played on an album for me last year on drums, and Nathan East is going to play bass.
Great.
And then I'm going to have kind of a cascade of really, really cool people coming in and playing with that. So
and guess what digital piano Simon Phillips has at home?
It's funny. Simon, okay. So Simon did a remix of one of the tracks from my album Imaginary Trains, which came out in April.
Yeah, love it.
He did a jazz remix of it, and all of the piano is Casio. And I wrote him a note going, "What's that?" And he's like, "It's a Casio." And I'm like, "You're crazy. There's no way that's a Casio." So that was before I became a convert. So there you go.
Fantastic.
I love these stories.
Absolutely love these stories. Well, Michael, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you and get to know you. And we just look forward to, what you're doing next and incorporating the Privia PX-S7000. So happy to see it there in your studio. Just an absolute thrill.
I mean, it's a keeper. And it was really funny. My wife, who never says really anything about my gear except there's always like this revolving door of stuff going in and going out. She's like, "Wow, it looks really good." And I was like, "Huh, look at you." Because she saw like the wooden legs and the whole thing. And I was like, "Yeah, it looks pretty good, doesn't it?" So, I mean, honestly, guys, I'm all joking aside, I can just see how much time the designers and the engineers and the sound designers and everybody spent on this. It's a really, really wonderful, inspiring instrument. So like really great job on this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So great to hear. Yeah.
All right,
and
Michael.
Thank you for sharing your stories and your views.
Thank
Hope
you
we can
guys.
do
I
this
really
again
appreciate.
sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
All right, take care, Michael. See you soon.
Yep.
Wow, what an absolute gem and an amazing, prolific musician. And
yeah,
just great to see.
One of the most prolific musicians we've ever spoken to, actually.
Actually,
the sheer amount of work he's done is just amazing.
So, Rich, we need to talk a little bit about the PX-S6000. We've been talking up to now about the 7000, and there's been questions on forums and everywhere. You know, what are the differences, and why would somebody choose one versus the other?
Should we do one or two quick questions from the chat first?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's one that's asking, is the backlit display here from the Casio Tone models? It's a slightly different display. It is backlit. It's an inverted display, so it's white text on dark. Here, I can show you a quick view of it here. So that is the close-up of the display on the PX-S7000, and you can see it's really easy to read. It's easy to read from many angles, very bright, and shows you everything you need all at once. And just looking at the chat here, let's see what else is here. We saw a couple other questions. How many tones? The PX-S7000 has 400 tones. Many of them are those best hit pianos. We've got the 3 legendary pianos built in, and then there's a huge variety of others: synths, bass sounds, strings, pretty much something in every category you can imagine. There's some solid gold there, and this is probably a good segue into the PX-S6000, right?
Yeah, that's right. So you just mentioned the 7000 has 400 tones. The PX-S6000 has 350. So there's one difference. But the instruments are designed for 2 different types of players. So the PX-S7000 specifically is designed to have all of the best preset tones at your fingertips, while the PX-S6000 gives you many of those, but it also gives you the ability to craft some of your own. So rather than, you have the opportunity with the 6000 to create your own best hit tone using the DSP effects, using the real-time controls to craft your tones for your recordings or for your live performance. So they are different. The PX-S7000 has 3 distinct different pianos. The PX-S6000 has 1 primary piano, the Hamburg, and all of the presets are based off of that. So, and then on the PX-S6000, you can get under the hood and you can start modifying things like DSP, the effects. And here's the knobs, or here's just a quick tour of the PX-S6000. Very similar in design. You've got those 2 real-time control knobs over on the left-hand side, but it shares very similar design, similar footprint. But this model also does not come with the stand. So the PX-S7000 is an all-in-one instrument with the 3-pedal system included. The PX-S6000 does not come with a stand. There is an optional stand called the CS90. And then if you need 3 pedals, well, you can add the SP34 3-pedal unit. So that gives a performing musician that kind of added flexibility if you need to take the piano with you. Which brings up one last point: the PX-S6000 and 7000. There is a gig bag available for both of these instruments. So, and I'm going to take a minute to show just a couple things on the PX-S6000. That's the model that I have here. Now, earlier in the broadcast, Rich showed how the function buttons down here below you can customize. And you can also put your favorite registrations here at your fingertips. So I mentioned DSP editing and things like that. That Taxi EP, well, you can edit that tone. You can put a different effect on it. So I played this tone earlier. Here it is with a different effect. So that's something that I customized with a flanger, a little bit of panner, and a stereo delay effect. Or maybe I'd like that with a little bit of an effect. That guitar amp simulator. So if you do some jazz, some fusion, what a great flexibility you have to alter and make these tones your own. You also have the ability to use things like filter in real time, change the envelopes, customize these tones, or even take things like the grand piano tone and make it your own with a different effect. So So a little bit of phaser, a different EQ on the Grand. You can customize all of these things. And that's the added flexibility you get with the PX-S6000. Create your own custom tones, save them as registrations, use this menu system, and have your best sounds at your fingertips for live performance. It has it all. It's fantastic.
It really, really is. It's a lot of fun to customize your own sounds, and many of the features are shared between the PX-S7000 and the 6000. It still has that amazing smart hybrid hammer action keybed, has the dedicated microphone input with 25 DSP effects. Lots of stuff is nearly the same on both models.
And the speaker system. And the speaker system. We
Yes.
haven't talked much about it. I mean, it's double the power of our previous Privias. It's 4 speakers, 32 watts. And as you mentioned earlier, you've got those placement presets, depending on where and how you're going to use the piano in your home or in live performance. You can optimize the way the speaker system works with those different presets. So
yeah, and both the 7000 and the 6000 and the 5000 too were designed to be beautiful from all angles. So when you look at the back of the 7000 and 6000, there's a matching grill cloth that covers the speaker and spans the entire length of the keyboard. And when I say matching, it matches whatever color of PX-S7000 you've chosen, and it's a darker color for the 6000. It's really very beautiful.
yeah.
So while we're talking about the 6000, it's a good time to talk about our next artist and to introduce him to you. Leon Thomasian is somebody that we're especially proud to introduce. We first came to know Leon because he and our mutual friend Sam Madhu produced a video about the keybed of the PX-S3000. And let me see, what he titled it was, How Good is the PX-S3000 Action? So when I see a video like that, I'm going to click on it. So Mike and I watched it, and our jaws just absolutely dropped to the floor when we heard Leon play. We got in touch with him. We were honored to have him join us at the 2022 NAMM show. And later on, you can go to the Casio Music Gear YouTube channel and watch that performance. But first, please enjoy this debut performance of Leon Thomasian's original composition, Voyage, which was composed for and played on the new Privia PX-S6000.
Wow, what an incredible performance song. Leon Thomasian, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your incredible skills on the Privia PX-S6000. Absolutely amazing. So, Leon, I have to ask, I mean, you just got the instrument a couple weeks ago. Could you share us your impressions? You've been playing Privia for a little while now, but this is a little bit different. I was just wondering if you could share some of your first impressions of the PX-S6000.
Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I really like this keyboard. So far, I've been playing all kinds of repertoire on it and taking it to its ultimate test to see how it performs. I really like the response. The keyboard action obviously is what drew my attention first, because it's much more enhanced. As you guys said in the description, it is very smart. It adjusts to the playing really well. I've been doing all kinds of techniques, advanced piano techniques, including repeated notes, tremolos, trills, all kinds of like heavy fortissimo dynamics on it, and it's really performing very well. I feel very comfortable with it. Yeah, and I love the way it looks.
Oh, that's great. You mentioned advanced piano techniques, and that's one of the first things that people are going to think of when they see that video that they just saw. I mean, so much of your music is relatable, and so much of it is wizardry. And I think, with so many elements at work in your music, we have to know, who were some of your influences when you were learning to play?
My favorite composer will always be Frédéric Chopin. I also really like pieces by Franz Liszt. But lately, I've been kind of experimenting with more neoclassical repertoire, so including Prokofiev, Stravinsky, even Rachmaninoff, and some influences from film music. So there's like Bernard Herrmann and John Williams, Hans Zimmer. Even you hear that in some of my compositions.
Yeah, we notice you're not afraid to get out there and do something a little dissonant, a little beyond the norm, which is really refreshing. Another thing that we noticed about your playing is your absolute command of rhythm and meter. And I was just curious, is this something that you always had, or that you had to actively develop? Was this a gift, or did you work at it?
I would say probably it's a combination. I had intensive training of rhythm and musicianship, starting from the Middle East, where I was born in Iraq. And then in Syria, I studied with some Russian teachers, and then came here and just continued, being more involved in jazz rhythms and classical, and just always wanted to experiment with all kinds of rhythms.
When do you start playing? I mean, how young were you?
I started playing when I was 5 years old.
Okay.
But I officially started taking piano lessons when I turned 8. I have perfect pitch, so I was always, since I was 5 years old, I would listen to any song and just play it on my toy piano. And then my dad decided, hey, you need to take some private lessons.
Well, that's great. I wanted to ask you, you do a lot of work with worship communities as you're playing. And I was wondering how that has helped you grow as a musician.
I've played in so many different churches, different ensembles. Actually, a lot of them included, drums and electric guitar. And now actually transitioning into playing in other bands involving more folk music. So I guess taking it back to my Armenian heritage, that probably also helped, just playing in Armenian churches, even playing organ. But lately it's just been mostly piano with worship teams and bands. That helped me develop a more collaborative spirit in music, and just really just collaborating with other musicians.
So, Leon, back to the PX-S6000. We've heard you play the Hamburg Grand piano tone. We've heard you play that electric piano as well. Any other like new favorite tones on the PX-S6000?
Yes. In fact, even though I didn't play it on the video yet, I didn't make a demo of it yet, but the first EP that I ran into was the Taxi EP. And I really liked it. I liked the tone of it. And then I started kind of browsing through, and some of them, had that stereo effect with like the function key. I was trying to come up with more demos, which I'm actually, we're in the process of working on those, and we'll be releasing. Yeah, and the organ sounds are amazing too, so we're also working on those.
Oh wow, fantastic.
Well, we loved your unboxing video, by the way. If you haven't seen this, by the way, definitely watch Leon's unboxing video for the PX-S6000. I especially love the little check boxes. That was very cool. It's literally ticking boxes for you. That was so great. Thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you, guys.
Well, Leon, we can't wait to see what's coming up next for you musically. Anything on the horizon?
We have so many projects. I've been doing a lot of demos for sample libraries. That lately it's been a thing on my YouTube channel. So, and as you know, ever since I got my hands on the PX-S6000, I've been really busy doing demos on this one because it's a monster, and it has so many great sounds, and I love the action that I'm trying to even make more content answering certain questions that I've been seeing on forums regarding specific things on the actions, and the sounds and like the functionality aspects of it.
Well, thank you very much for doing that, because you do a great job of it, and
Leon,
we
amazing.
greatly appreciate it.
Well,
thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your time and your skills with us. It's wonderful to see you play. Everybody, check out Leon Thomasian's YouTube site in the link below. We'll put it in the description as well. Check out, like, and subscribe to his channel, because you'll see some more Casio content over there real soon. So, Leon, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you again very, very soon.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It's my pleasure. Thanks.
Well, Mike, we've talked about the PX-S7000 and the 6000, but there is a third piano we're talking about today, and that is the PX-S5000. And what's especially great about this instrument is this is how you get that fantastic smart hybrid hammer action keybed in the most affordable, most compact model.
Right. And we have an artist on the line who's actually had that PX-S5000 for a few days, and we thought, what a better way to talk about it than to bring Mr. Steve Weingart onto the broadcast live to talk about the PX-S5000. How you doing?
Hey, Steve.
Very good. Good to see you guys.
It's great to see you, Steve. It's been too long that we've seen each other in person. We missed you at the last NAMM show. But hope you're doing well. I understand you are working on a new album.
I am. Actually, I have compositionally, everything is finished. I have one of the musicians of the 4 that I'm planning to use in this particular project finished, and the music is out to the other 2 guys at the moment. So everything's moving along really well. I was hoping for, fingers crossed, all of them, toes, you can't see my toes. But I'm hoping to have something by the end of the year.
That's fantastic. I can't wait to hear it. Actually, I might have heard a clip or 2. So yeah, I can't wait for everybody to hear it. It's fantastic.
Me too. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Can't
now
wait.
you just happened to receive something in the mail just a few days ago, and I think that's it over to your right. That's the PX-S5000, and so you just had a few days with it. And of course, you've been playing Privias for years, but one of the
Yeah.
things, we wanted to get your first impressions. I mean, how are you feeling about this new keyboard action?
I'm completely blown away. I took it out of the box, and the first thing was it was super easy. You hook this thing up and hook that thing up, hit the power switch, and you're up and running. So that was incredible. And the first thing I noticed was when I actually put my hands on it, it was quite amazing. I thought, you can see I have a friend back here that's a real Steinway. And I felt myself more at ease and more responsive feeling than I actually did the piano. I mean, that's really going some to say that. But I felt like the response in repeated note deals, you know what I mean? Like in making, I like to improvise and, fast lines and runs like this was super responsive to how I was able to, it almost kind of barked back and said, "Is that all you got?" So I really enjoyed the ease and the flow and the actual weight of the keys themselves. It does not feel like a keyboard, an electronic keyboard to me at all.
That's
I think,
awesome. Sorry.
That's all right.
No, I was just going to say, go ahead.
That's definitely like a heartwarming reaction to hear. One of the reasons we wanted to get your opinion is because you are such a dynamic player. You're so versatile, and you're capable of playing extremely fast, but also you can play very evocatively and delicately if you need to. And because this new action is so dynamic, we were really hoping you would pick up on the new response.
Yeah, and immediately hit me in the head like it was incredible. I didn't really. I kind of put my hands in it, and I was like, "Holy crap! Did I just hear what I heard, and did I just feel what I felt?" It really was a pretty amazing response to have for something that's electronic and meant to be, portable, or you know what I'm saying. Its own speaker system sounded really nice by itself. So I ended cranking it up, and going after some playing. Actually picked up one of the pieces that I had recorded already on my GP500, which is what the computer is sitting on, so you can't see it. But I ended up recording one of these pieces on this piano in front of me. So I just started to move over to the 5000, and I thought, uh-oh, I've just got myself a whole new load of work because I'm going to have to re-record everything on this instrument.
Wow. So you were, to that point, you were enjoying just the dynamic range that you were getting out of the PX-S5000. In some ways, in some ways.
I'm a fan on all of these products because they're all so good. But I did feel like, I don't know, it's kind of like a new operating system kind of feeling, like there's a little bit more flexibility, there's a little bit more depth in it. And it just seemed to translate when I played. So, yeah, really good. Really, really, really good.
So it was kind of a natural fit for you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There was no, like I said, I took it out of the box. When it got delivered, I picked it up from our front porch running towards my studio with it. And I couldn't get the box open fast enough. So, I ran out and got myself a keyboard stand and put it on there, and it was off to the races. So really amazing.
Did you notice the new key surfaces on this Privia versus the previous models?
Yeah, you know what? This one has, like, it seems to have, well, you know what? It's a new instrument. So I don't know how much of that wears into, but I noticed that it was just inviting. You know, it just had an immediate playability, and there was no how to say this. There was no like kind of weird plasticky or filmy kind of surface to it. It felt like playing a piano.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
So,
I actually tried to you know, make comparisons with the piano that you see behind me,
mhm.
but it wasn't any fair because there's so much dust built up on that piano. I don't play it anymore. I play the GP 500 and now the 5000.
Absolutely
It's
love it.
certainly a lot easier to record that way when you have line outputs.
Oh, yeah, it's great. Yeah, and the way it sounds, it's just it's hands down. It sounds it somehow carries performance across more so than computer plugins.
Yeah.
It seems like I'm able to put myself into this keyboard and without having it get flattened or compressed or limited in any way, digitally or by audio.
You know, it's
Pretty
funny you
amazing.
mentioned that. That's something that Casio does take a bit of pride in. Every time they put out a new instrument that has slightly different keys, even if it's using a similar piano sound to what you already know, that
Right.
sound will be reworked to match the specific keys, and that's
That's
what
right.
happened in the 5000. So
Well,
you,
that explains why I had that reaction then.
That's
yeah, and
incredible.
Yeah.
it's a big change between or a big difference, I should say, between a dedicated keyboard and using a MIDI controller with a plugin. There's that hand to mind connection that's much more
Right.
solid with something
Right,
like
right,
this.
right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure that you or the engineers at Casio would be able to explain this away. But for me, unscientifically, when I sit down at an instrument, it either flies or it doesn't. And
Yeah,
this one's flying.
that's awesome.
So I hate to put you on the spot, Steve, but you've got the PX-S5000 right there. Anything maybe you could share with us on it for a moment?
Um, I don't know if is this going to be picking up in the audio.
The PX-S5000? What's
Oh, the PX.
yeah.
You said
No.
I thought you said GP. Okay.
So let's pick that up. Might
Okay.
have to do it.
It's called Daydream. I have actually rearranged it and going to be re-recording it in this new project that's coming out soon. So yeah, I'll give you a little spot of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
Thank
a
you,
little spot.
Steve. Thank you,
Oh, it's
Steve.
fantastic.
Thank you.
It's one of my favorites from the album.
Yeah, Steve.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Of
much.
course.
Well, we can't
course.
wait to hear the new album. And for everybody that's watching, Steve, where can they find out more about you?
Um, right now I'm in between websites, but to be honest with you, I keep up mostly in Facebook.
Okay.
Also, I have an Instagram account where there's a lot of videos. And those two, those are probably the more immediate ways to catch up or to hear new stuff
Great. And
or
so for
just
our viewers,
be in
you'll
touch.
see those right there at the bottom of the screen. So everybody take note, give Steve a like and a follow. And Steve, again, keep us posted about the new album. And in the meantime, enjoy that PX-S5000. We really
Oh, I
appreciate
will.
really appreciate you spending the time with us today.
Of
Definitely.
course.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
so
having
much,
me.
Steve.
All right.
Great
see you
to see
soon.
both of you. Okay.
Bye-bye. Well, Mike, that was a... Wait a minute.
Hi, I'm
You're
Mike Martin.
Definitely not Mike. Oh, my
I'm Mike
gosh.
Martin, and-
Everybody. Everybody, please welcome Christian Matthew Cullen. It is so nice to see you
Oh,
here. If you've
thank
been
you.
following Casio, you already know who Christian Matthew Cullen is. He's a god among classic rock keyboardists. He's toured with everyone you can imagine. He writes music for film, TV, video games, even music that goes into toys, which is awesome.
It's
He
true.
most recently shared his talents with us with a CTS 1000V video, Into the Dark. He showed the world what vocal synthesis could do. And we recently got him to sit still for a few minutes with the Privia PX-S7000 and 6000. But, now I'm noticing that that Mike's not there. And I have to assume you broke into Mike's studio. Did you murder him?
I did not, but he might
Okay,
be in
good.
he might be in the trunk of my Honda. So
All right. Well, just keep him fed and hydrated. He's been working very hard.
he has been. He needs some rest. Yeah.
It is so good to see you, man. How have you been?
You too. Everything's been great. I'm in Chicago right now for a gig with Jim Peterick in World Stage. I've been doing that gig for, 24 years. Jim has written so many hits for Survivor, Search Is Over, High on You, and Eye the Tiger. He's written Eye the Tiger. So it's Jim. We play a lot of his hits. On the show is Jennifer Batten from Michael Jackson's iconic band. So we'll be playing some Michael Jackson hits. Mark Stein from Vanilla Fudge will be on with us. Ides of March, and just an extended cast of amazing musicians and talent. So I'm
that's
playing
fantastic.
in his live house band. So I have a lot of duties to cover.
Yeah, I'm sure. That sounds like a busy gig.
It is.
So I have to ask, what are your impressions so far of the PXS 7000 and 6000?
Oh, game changer. I was so excited to see it just arrive at my doorstep. It was just like standing vertical at my door. And my wife's like, "Did you order something?" I'm like, no, I didn't buy a keyboard. And sure enough, it was a surprise from Casio. And I opened it up, and I didn't even get it on a stand. Like when I saw it, it was so beautiful, and I was putting my hands on it, and it was just a dream. And I rushed to go plug it in, and I didn't even get it on a stand. I put it on the couch and kneeled and played for like an hour. And it was just like, not only is it bar none my favorite action, and the way the dynamics come out of your fingers and translate to the samples is mind-boggling. For me, that's the magic of it.
Yeah, that's sort of the end result of all the technology that we've been talking about today. The hybrid hammer action keys matched up with the piano sound. In the case of the 6000, it's that beautiful Homburg Grand.
Yeah.
And it's all designed to mesh really well together. And so I'm really glad that's the experience that you had.
Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah, this is going to be my new stage piano, 100%.
Awesome. I was just about to ask about that. If it was, do you think it's got a place in the studio, or are you going to use it mostly live?
Oh, 100%. In fact, I have a very expensive Argosy desk that I probably paid way too much for. And I'm in the process of moving right now, and I'm actually going to change my desk out just to accommodate this as my master keyboard, controller, and have it patched into Logic at all times for sounds. So yeah, it's kind of like I'm revamping my studio all around it, to be honest.
Oh, it's terrific.
Yeah.
Well, since we love putting people on the spot, would you mind playing a little something for us?
Sure. I don't mind.
Thank you. Beautiful. Good
Thank
stuff,
you.
man. Thank you so much.
Hey, it's Mike.
There
He's
he
back.
is. I'm still here.
He's back
He
from
got
the
out of
trunk.
the trunk. Yeah, he found that little latch back there. You
Yes,
can
yeah.
still open it from inside.
Safety feature. No, thank you so much for having me. It was just such a treat, and this instrument is such a leap forward for Casio, and I'm just so excited for you guys and to play this in my, live in studio. So.
Well, we are honored every time you grace us with your presence and your talent. So thank you so much for being here. Glad you were able to break in. You may have to talk to Mike about repairing a door or something like that. Hope it's not too bad.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care, Christian.
You
Thank
too.
you. All right. So with that, let's take a look at a couple of questions in the chat. One question is, how long does the as I hit the mute button on my mic, how long does the PX-S7000 last on batteries? The answer is 4 hours. It's important to note, though, that it does cut down the wattage on the built-in speakers to conserve battery life. So if you want it to go at full blast at 32 watts, make sure it's plugged in. Should I buy the S1000 or the S1100? Well, you should probably get the 5000 now that it's coming out with the with this
Absolutely.
fantastic
This
new action.
action.
Yes, but both the S1000 and S1100 are phenomenal instruments and really, really capable digital pianos that we are still very proud of, and
Absolutely.
they're super affordable. Yes. Is the piano sound sampled or modeled? It's a combination of the two.
That's right.
So the samples, when you hear the actual notes of the piano, those are samples. So there are many layers of those notes, and they're spread all across the keys. But then when you get to the damper resonance and string resonance, those aspects are modeled.
That's right.
Did I describe that enough?
No, that's
Okay.
perfect. That's perfect. He was asking about the stand. So the stand. So to clarify, the PX-S7000 comes with the stand and the pedal system. That's an all-in-one package on the PX-S7000. On the PX-S6000, it is the CS90 stand, which shares the same footprint, the same solid feel and style that you see with the PX-S7000. But that's an option for the PX-S6000. The PX-S5000, however, uses the CS68 stand, similar to our other Privia models like the PX-S3100 and 1100.
I see another comment here about triple sensor. This is actually a 2-sensor keyboard, but there is some wizardry here that gives you the same benefits that a triple sensor has. So when you're playing repeated notes, you do not have to return the key to the topmost position to re-trigger it. It behaves the exact same way a triple sensor does, and this is just an example of how Casio innovates with their
Yeah,
designs.
the response is truthfully faster and more responsive than our previous 3-sensor actions, and we still do things like high resolution MIDI with those as well. So you have those benefits with the new keyboards. And checking, I know so many questions.
It's so many.
Ed was
We've been
asking
going for an
about,
hour and
I know,
40
and
minutes.
it's time to wrap. So we will be doing more live events. And obviously, people like Leon says he's making more videos to address questions because he's just enjoying that and growing his YouTube channel and answering people's questions. So thank you, Leon. Appreciate all those efforts. Oh, I love this. She loves the harmonious mustard. It's on all of our minds. There's nothing that looks like that piece, and so I'm envious. I don't have one. Rich, you have the harmonious mustard PX-S7000 there, and I'm quite jealous.
It's right here.
Look at that.
It is gorgeous. And there's, the camera can't pick up how nice the surface actually is. It's 3-dimensional. It has depth to it. It's not just this color that you see on the screen. It's got a presence that you need to experience in person.
A couple of last things, and we got to wrap, guys. Thank you so much, everyone, for spending your time here today. Besides other sounds, Brad, you may not have been here earlier. There's a wide variety of keyboard instruments on these instruments, from clavinets, strings, some synth pads, and other tones. So a little bit of everything. Of course, the focus on these new instruments is piano. That's where most of the effort is put, but you have all of those other things for layering. So you can layer these amazing pianos with electric pianos. Oh my goodness, there's a whole arpeggiator section that we meant to talk about it. We didn't even get into it, but there's an arpeggiator section that's designed for piano players. So you get these amazing textures behind piano parts. It's truly gorgeous. So we will discuss those things in future videos. But truthfully appreciate everybody spending your time with us today. It's been, wow, incredible talent. Alicia Witt, Michael Whalen, Leon, Christian, Steve Weingart, everybody. Can't thank you enough for spending your day with us and helping us spread the word about these wonderful instruments. If you need more information about these pianos and other Casio instruments, visit us at casio.com. And please, if you can, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll see the latest information on these pianos and more. So thank you, everybody. My name is Mike Martin.
I'm Rich Formidoni. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Take care, everybody.